I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up education. The right to refuse? Nashville teacher wins fight to skip LGBTQ curriculum. The controversy began at KIPP Antioch College Prep, where teacher Eric Rivera was disciplined after declining to read Stella Brings the Family, a children's book featuring a girl with two dads. Citing his religious beliefs, Rivera had arranged for a colleague to read the book instead. However, school administrators initially issued a final warning, stating he must teach the curriculum with fidelity or face termination. Represented by the First Liberty Institute, Rivera argued that federal law requires religious accommodations in the workplace. This week, the school blinked, agreeing to clear Rivera's record and formally allowing teachers to opt out of materials that conflict with their convictions. While supporters call it a win for religious freedom, opponents worry this sets a concerning precedent. By allowing educators to physically step away from LGBTQ+-inclusive curriculum, critics argue it sends a message to students that our families are objectionable, or something to be avoided. As Tennessee continues to navigate restrictive education laws, this settlement marks a significant shift in how or if queer stories will be shared in classrooms. Now, is this person a bigot? Of course he is. Of course he is. That being said, I get very concerned when an employer tries to compel speech on someone of any kind. And the fact, the fact that the Liberty Group is representing him means that we don't know what he really was trying to do or not do. They're a very shady group. But at the same time, if he clearly was trying to make sure that the job was handled appropriately, aka someone's going to make sure the criteria is taught, I think that's how you're supposed to handle it. I would love to know more it doesn't sound like a teachers union was involved in this, which is concerning as well, because normally you think the teachers union would represent someone in this situation, but still, it's a concerning story one way or the other.
Well, apparently the book was approved as curriculum. Mm-hmm. So if that's, I hate to call it marching orders, but if that is the directive of the public school as an employer, no one should be exempt from that. It's tax dollars at work. There needs to be equal representation of many different families and acceptance. And again, the right wing trying to pull us back.
Well, what if, let's say, the curriculum approved something about glorifying police and a teacher, a parent, or a sibling was killed by an officer, and they maybe didn't want to share the story? Should they be compelled to read that book?
Well, I'm sorry. I think it's a tricky line that we're touching
gray areas.
here.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Really is, but I do agree that if the curriculum was already decided on, and what you're bringing up, Alex, is a very specific case.
Yes.
So that would be, I would assume, dealt with sensitively if that was for that one student. But this is more of a overall topic. He has an issue with just reading this book, and that's where it seems like he would just be able to pick and choose what he wants.
That is a big problem with where my concern is on that end, but there's also how much of the picking and choosing does it go?
Yeah.
Well, and again, we're not talking about, the controversial drag queen story hour in a public school. And I'm not saying I don't support that at all. I support it. But again, we're talking about a teacher who's there to teach, paid to teach by taxpayer dollars. What's your issue?
That is valid.
And it comes down to bigotry. Yeah.
Exactly.
It does, in my opinion as well. I don't think that that's too much of an extremist book. I think that's a very nice, inclusive thing to bring awareness
to.
And
not to make light of it, but we're not talking about, daddy goes out to the disco or mommy and her wife go to the women's festival. We're talking about a mom and to daddy model, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
It's love. Love is love. Yeah.
And that's our biggest message. That's exactly what we have to stand on.
Oh yeah. And I just want people to understand that when it comes to am I for compelling teachers to dress in drag? Well, maybe. And that is an educational story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.